has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast. All right, so the last rack of ribs, I think, almost covers, for me, the relative number of stragglers. So it's not like there's that many more. There's a couple more that I'd be interested in, but this last rack pretty much covers it.
Yeah, because I like to get a few of the late-night games on here at some point. Va-Tech visiting BC tonight in Chestnut Hill. Nevada and Colorado State, good game. In the Mountain West tonight with Colorado State minus 3.5 at home. South Carolina visiting LSU. Minnesota makes the long trip out to Pauley. Heavy number for the Bruins and Cronin at home late night. And also late night, Fresno getting some big lumber from the Aztecs at San Diego State.
The game's at Viejas, and they beat them by 22 when they played them in Fresno, and, they stink. So I'm willing to lay it with the Aztecs tonight. I think the Aztecs will be a high seed in the NCAA tournament. They'll make it, though. Again, they win at San Diego State in basketball. Their football program's ass mustard. I like the Bruins at Pauley tonight. I think that the Gophers are a terrible road team. I think they're decent at Williams. They can beat teams at Williams. I think Garcia's the only player on that team that I'd be worried about. If UCLA shuts him down, they should win that game and cover. LSU at the Maravich gets it done. Here's the one I'm going to take, the risk. It's Nevada. They're hot. They've won 4 or 5 games in a row for Alfred. I think they lost to Colorado State at Reno by 2 when they played them earlier this season. You're going to give me 3 and a hook. I think Nevada's going to win the game outright. I think they're going to win in Fort Collins against the Rams tonight. And I'm particularly high on Va-Tech over Boston College. Why? Because Boston College is bleeding out. They're losing every game they play. They've dropped like 5 in a row. They get beat every night now. They've had one good game the whole season. That's it. They've had one upset the whole season. And the rest of the time, all they do is lose. I don't think Va-Tech's that much better than them, but I think they're good enough to cover and win by a bucket tonight in Chestnut Hill. And as far as stragglers for me, there's one that stood out to me. It was Akron. They're really good, the Zips. They're going to go for their 21st win. They're laying a fat 19.5 burger against NIU. They are atrocious. They're 5-20, and the Zips are at home. I think the Zips win this game by 40 points. I think they're going to blow them out tonight, and that's just all there is to it. And I kind of like Ohio in Athens against Central Michigan as well. And I think Lipscomb can win at Eastern Kentucky and cover that 3.5. And I love Miami of Ohio. I'm going to lay to 4.5 in Ypsilanti. They're going for their 20th win, and they get it tonight, the Red Hawks.
Man, I was just looking at Boston College. They have not mattered in basketball in so long. Can you believe they haven't made the NCAA tournament since 2009? I mean, you're talking 15-plus years, and they haven't even made a tournament. They just don't matter in basketball. They don't even matter.
They don't matter in football either.
I mean, what happened up there in Chestnut Hill? They just can't get anything
schools
going. Can't touch the church schools. So there you go. College rack tonight. Very big night. Tomorrow's juicy too. Tuesdays and Wednesdays always good nights.
Thank God, because there's
college rack
going on. I mean, honestly,
he needed it this week. That's for sure.
I mean, this is like baseball All-Star Week. It's so bad.
I said to Mafia yesterday morning. I said this week. I think this might now check in at the second worst week of the year.
It must be nice you're leaving after tomorrow. I think you can make it through one more day.
No. Nobody can touch that week in July where there's no baseball and the All-Star game happens. But this is a close second with no NBA and NHL all week long. That's for sure. All right, speaking of baseball, let's go now. I've got a bunch of stuff for you from around spring training. And I'll start with the Jays. You discussed this with Gabe earlier. Vlad Guerrero Jr. kind of gave the Blue Jays a drop-dead date for a contract extension. That was last night. And they did not get one. In fact, they are very far apart. Vladdy said this morning They had their numbers and I had my numbers, which makes you feel they're not even close when it comes to. So he will be a free agent at the end of the year. I saw Nightingale and a couple other people say this. He's made it no secret that he wants to play in Boston for the Red Sox. So that's a problem if that comes to fruition in the offseason. Nobody needs that. Here is Jays general manager Ross Atkins. Now, everybody in Toronto, from what I've seen today, they can't stand this guy. Here he is talking about not getting a deal done with Vladdy.
Ross, how is this front office kind of feeling? What are your thoughts right now, knowing that you guys could not come up with?
Yeah, obviously very disappointed. We worked very hard. The motivation is still there. Confident that every thought, idea we had, every dollar, that we had was communicated. So, but we're obviously disappointed to not have gotten that done. Doesn't change our desire. We will certainly be motivated and remain motivated.
Yeah, I don't believe him. Let me just say this. We've already discussed this with Gabe. They have more money than God himself, and they went short side on Vladdy. So here's what I would do if I were Guerrero. I would not accept any offer that they make me at all. I would play the entire season and hit home runs, not listen to anyone, not listen to the manager or the GM or the fans or the media, and just absolutely leave and go play for the Boston Red Sox in the offseason, which will be his right. And that'll be the end of it. And they will rue the day that they were $100 million short. Meanwhile, these morons offered the world to every single free agent, Judge, Ohtani, every single player that was available that mattered in Major League Baseball, the Jays made an offer to over the last few years, and they didn't sign one of them. The best they could do was Anthony Santander. Let's just face facts. These guys are morons, and they have screwed up the Toronto Blue Jays, and what they deserve is they deserve Bichette, Vladdy, and Biggio, all of them, to just leave. Just leave and go play where you want. Vladdy can play one season. That's like butter. And then go play for the Red Sox. I hate the Red Sox, but if I were him, that's exactly what I would do. I would screw them the exact same way they are effing him right now. They effed him, and they said, we gave him every single dollar that we had. They are so full of shack. It's not even funny. That guy, he might as well have liar coming out in bold, red, bloody letters out of his mouth when he talks.
He also said this morning, that Atkins, and Shapiro said this as well, because I believe he talked after him, that they're not going to trade him. That would be stupid too. He has already made it very clear that he's going to leave. Okay? You have a player who you would get something back for, whether that's now or in May, June, July at the trade deadline. I don't care where Toronto is. And you know what? If they're in first place, to let it ride it out, whatever.
They won't be.
They won't be. They need to get something of value because he's going to leave. He is not going back to Toronto.
And let me tell you something. Season. The Red Sox and the Orioles and the Yankees are, obviously, the Yankees went to the World Series. They're all better than the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are in last place. That's a very competitive division. Red Sox are better. We know the Rays are always a problem. The Orioles have great young hitting. I don't think their pitching's that great, but they got great young hitting. It's not out of the question that that's where they could end up when it all is said and done in this division. When we come back, I'm going to play you the Devers. I'm sure you saw the Devers thing in Boston. It was pretty good. I'll give you that. I've got Judge, too. A couple of other signings today. I've got a lot of football stuff that we'll get in as well. So we do have a lot more to conquer before we get out of here in the next I like the fact that you got a lot of baseball news. When there's nothing going on and there's no basketball except college, and I love college. College is way better than the NBA. So give me that, and then give me baseball news, and I'm happy.
slow play drum beat grows louder and louder every week, to the point now that they're making overt references to it on the broadcast.
There's plenty of other guys that have to get faster. Tom definitely is more deliberate in his conversations, always has been since he's been on tour. I just think about Joe Scover and when those two started working together, how their conversations always seem to just keep on going and going.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
At some point, these 80s are going to learn we don't need to hire ex-NBA guys. I need guys with college experience who's gone out and recruited, who know how to develop talent. NBA guys with no college experience don't work in college basketball. I understand they run NBA-style offenses, but it doesn't mean they can run college programs.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams, who's got the best goaltending? Over, you're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
Patino himself, in a clip that we just played, said basically the stats are not backing up the team's wins.
St. John's is offensive glass. That's where a lot of opportunities for St. John's came from. St. John's does not shoot the basketball well. It might even be fair to say they shoot it poorly. They were 3 of 16 from deep last night. But it doesn't seem to matter to them.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, so let's listen to Rafi Devers.
Yeah, so of course, Bregman signs. They run to Devers. They saw Bregman taking ground balls at third. They go to Devers. Are you willing to do anything else besides third base? Let's see what he says.
So are you saying if they ask you to DH, you won't do it?
No.
Can you expand on that?
I played third.
Expand on that. What's there to expand on? I mean, it's
I
over.
played third.
He's not doing it.
I play third. Now, look, I think that this is also tough. You saw he's sitting there with the translator, and then after that, it starts ramping through the translator, more of the explanations. But the story remains the same. The guy don't want to play anywhere else. He wants to play third base. He was told by Chaim Bloom, when he re-signed, he'd be the third baseman. Problem is, as Alex Cora is about to tell you, Chaim Bloom ain't there anymore. He don't run the Red Sox. The other guy runs them now. So that Breslow runs the Sox, and so does Alex Cora.
He said when he signed the long-term extension that you guys said that he'd be the third baseman long-term. Do you think the relationship is strained right now? He doesn't seem happy that, the team has gone back on their word. Strange between
Different people here, right? There's a different leader here. So, Chaim is in St. Louis right now.
Okay, so let's get real here for a second. I don't deny that Alex Bregman is a good player, and he's been on a really good team, winning chips and division titles and being in the playoffs every year. But I also I question the deal that he got. I don't think he's worth that anymore. I think he's old. And I think Devers is a better player, and I think he's a bigger hitter, and that's all there is to it. Now, you want to move him to DH, and he wants to play third base, and he's not having it, and you're going to choose this old white guy over that badass Devers? You must be drunk. Honestly, Mike, you have to admit that Devers is a better player, and he's a bigger hitter, bigger home run hitter, everything else. I won't deny Bregman can bag it, and I won't deny that he's a good player. But I think his best years are over. Nobody else wanted him. Nobody wanted him. I mean, he had offers. They were all crappy offers. Excuse me. Teams wanted him, and they offered him crappy numbers because he's old. That's it. Like, what did he do? 3 years at $120 million? Because no one thinks he's going to be playing baseball in 4 years.
I think that there's no question. If you ask me, who do I not want to face in a big spot?
Devers.
Game on the line. It's Devers. Now, they're talking more about things like, him at third base, defensively, athletically, blah. Bregman's better than him defensively. Whatever. I want to keep that guy happy if he was my third base. But here's the real problem that it causes. It's the first week of camp. And I'm sure maybe no one will remember this stuff when you actually start playing real games. But it causes a problem all around camp. Because what did I see today? This was all yesterday. Then what did the reporters do today? Remember, this is Boston. Boston, Philly, New York.
They start asking everybody else.
They start asking everybody else. So the first baseman today, Tristan Casas, they ask him, and what does he say? Oh, Rafi should be the third baseman. So now you're asking guys picking sides. Most won't. Most are smart and will say, well, I let the manager figure that out. But like this guy, Casas goes, yeah, Rafi should be the third baseman. That's his spot. So now you've got other guys on the team being asked about it, and it becomes a problem. So now Bregman's new. He's probably like, screw this guy. You don't like me? This guy at first base? So it just causes diversion in the locker room that you don't need. Don't need to have it.
Why can't he play second base?
Right. But I'm sure that there's some guy with a computer in the analytical department who has told them
what they should do is beat
more
the
runs.
shack out of that guy and stuff him in the back of a car. Shut up.
They'll save more runs with Bregman at third than they will than Devers at third. So that's probably why they've
I don't
already done
believe that for 1 minute. You can take that analytics and shove it up your arse.
Let's head to Tampa next. Here's Aaron Judge. Of course, the Yankees lost Juan Soto, but they've added a lot of other pieces. Yankee captain spoke for the first time at camp. He says, can't replace Juan, but we've got some good hitters.
Yeah, Soto's one of a kind, man. He's a special player. Excited for him and his new chapter with the Mets. But we added a lot of new pieces here, starting with, like I talked about earlier, Bellinger and Goldschmidt, two guys that are, former MVPs, guys that are still wanting to improve, still want to get better. They're going to add just such a different dynamic to this team. It really lengthens out our whole lineup. When you have those guys batting in the middle of your order, it just a lot of good things are going to happen. So you can't replace a guy like Juan Soto, but you bring in guys like this that are, all-stars, MVPs, caliber players. We did a pretty good job.
I think they did a great job, and I just need you to have a hit in the playoffs. I mean, just one hit.
Right.
I mean,
where
line drives right into your glove, because I think he's an incredible player, and I love him. I love watching Aaron Judge play for the Yankees. I think he's fantastic. But in the playoffs, he was an abortion. It was embarrassing how bad he was. I mean, he was so out of it, he was dropping line drives right to his glove. Everybody remembers the fifth inning. It cost him the World Series. I mean, they were never the same after that inning. I mean, that was it.
And he needs to get hit. It's all about October for Judge now. We've seen the 60 homers, 55 homers. He got to get it done in the playoffs. That's what the bottom line is. The Cubs signed Justin Turner, 1-year deal for him. Padres signed Yuli Gurriel to a 1-year deal. Arizona gives Geraldo Perdomo 4-year, $45 million extension. Joe Buck back to calling baseball. He hasn't called baseball since he went to ESPN to do Monday Night Football. Opening day, he'll have Yankees-Brewers in the Bronx. Joe Buck back in baseball.
I mean, let's just calm down here. Joe Buck can call baseball games. Let's stop with that he can't. Like, are you crazy? How many did he do? He did it on Fox forever. I mean, he can really call a baseball game. Let's get real here. And so could his dad, obviously.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
You want me to solve all this tush-push and fourth down malarkey that goes on with the officials? Here's a crazy idea. Get rid of the worst rule in the NFL, and that is forward progress. How about this? Where I knock your ass in the ground is where the ball goes, period. Let's end this whole conversation. Like, if I drop you back 4 yards, then you lost 4 yards. If we get rid of forward progress, this tush-push and everything else is taken care of. Where I put your tail on the ground is where the ball goes, end of conversation. It's the dumbest rule and the most arbitrary rule. The only thing that is a worse call in the NFL than forward progress is the punt that goes out of bounds when you watch the official walk down the sideline having absolutely no clue where that ball crossed over. All I can think of is that Price is Right game go do-de-do-de-do, do-de-do-de-do, as he's walking down the sideline, arbitrarily trying to figure out where the ball crossed over because he's got no clue.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Yeah, I'm a little turned off by Cam Ward acting like he's some kind of badass here going into this draft. What is he, keeping receipts or something already? Like he's some kind of, like, let's calm down. Like, I thought Cam Ward was a really good player at Miami, but he wasn't great. Greatness isn't losing to Georgia Tech and to Syracuse and then losing your bowl game. I mean, the last 3 games he played, he lost. I mean, they were undefeated and playing for a national championship. They were going to be in the playoff, right? And then they didn't even go. Okay? And now allegedly he's going to be the top pick in the NFL draft, and if he's not, he's going to remember who dissed him, Mike. What is he saying? Like, he needs to calm down.
Here's what he said. I guess this was last night. He was getting the Davey O'Brien Award, which goes to the nation's top quarterback from last year, and he was asked about the draft. He said, quote, "Okay, you're either going to draft me or you're not. If you don't draft me, that's your fault. You've got to remember you're the same team that's got to play me for the rest of my career, and I'll remember that." There you go. Cam Ward already throwing it out there.
Yeah, listen, like I said, when the chips were on the table, he lost. So, like, when the chips were on the table in Atlanta, he fumbled the ball. When the chips were on the table at Syracuse, he was throwing picks, and they got the ball late, and he didn't do anything. When the chips were on the table against Iowa State, they lost again. They've lost like 12 straight bowl games. So, like, I got to tell you, like, I have my druthers even that he won the Davey O'Brien. Like, look, that kid at Ohio State and Dylan Gabriel, let's face facts. The kid at Ohio State won the national championship. Everyone thought he sucked as he was roasting everyone in the playoffs and putting up huge numbers. Where was Cam Ward? Picking his nose? He wasn't even in it. And you're giving him awards, and now he's acting like he's some kind of badass. Let's calm down on Cam Ward. Like, I got to be honest with you. I think he's somewhat of a dangerous pick. as the number one quarterback in the draft. Like, I mean, buyer beware.
We've been through this already, and we've obviously going to have 2 more months of this. And he's the favorite to be the top pick right now. But I'll tell you, these quarterbacks here, I think they got a chance to be good, but they are not sure things. Ward or Sanders.
None of them
They are not sure things at the NFL level. And if you're a team like Tennessee, you look at that now, and we talked, we've seen this Abdul Carter number move a little bit and the Travis Hunter number move a little bit. They might be more of a sure thing in the NFL than Cam Ward's going to be. And Tennessee might feel that way, and he might not be the first pick.
There's people talking about, like Jackson Dart being available late first round, second round. But then you hear these people on TV saying, oh, he's surefire, prototypical, oh, God. And then, all of these people that suddenly put on these draft hats like they're geniuses these people everywhere on every network known to man act like they know it all. Everyone thinks they're a know-it-all about football drafting and talent. I'll be certain of one thing: they're all full of Shaq, is what they are. Nobody knows Shaq. They all think that, including anybody around here. Everyone thinks they're so smart that, I'm a draft expert. I got my mock draft. Oh, my God. Is there anything worse in sports, television, and radio than people that think they know everything about the NFL draft and who's going to be a star player at the next level? It's embarrassing. I'm telling you facts. I don't know anything at all, but I know this. I watched that kid puke all over himself in 3 big games. Puked all over himself. I also know he threw 67% completions. Their guys threw 73, 74. And you got him above them. The guy throws picks left and right. He takes too many risks in college. What do you think he's going to do in a pro when they eat him alive when he throws those bad passes? That I am certain of, and I'm right. And I know nothing else. You're a draft expert, my ass. Your mother's a draft expert. Go ahead. Shut up. Shut your face.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
You want me to solve all this tush-push and fourth down malarkey that goes on with the officials? Here's a crazy idea. Get rid of the worst rule in the NFL, and that is forward progress. How about this? Where I knock your ass in the ground is where the ball goes, period. Let's end this whole conversation. Like, if I drop you back 4 yards, then you lost 4 yards. If we get rid of forward progress, this tush-push and everything else is taken care of. Where I put your tail on the ground is where the ball goes, end of conversation. It's the dumbest rule and the most arbitrary rule. The only thing that is a worse call in the NFL than forward progress is the punt that goes out of bounds when you watch the official walk down the sideline having absolutely no clue where that ball crossed over. All I can think of is that Price is Right game go do-de-do-de-do, do-de-do-de-do, as he's walking down the sideline, arbitrarily trying to figure out where the ball crossed over because he's got no clue.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Well, thank God we got somebody around here that can talk basketball. It's Coach James Young, of course, a double shot on C2C today. I've been excited about this since I saw the show rundown. It gets me all kinds of worked up because you know how much I love Lid. I told you I went to the great, top 4 teams in the North in that Jamboree semi at Fairleigh Dickinson. It was incredible. Chop and I went through driving rain. Like, we had the coats over our heads running through ankle-deep puddles to get into that arena. And I saw great basketball. And then college basketball, I just want to say to you, is also better than pro basketball. Carver High won't even discuss pro basketball with me anymore. He's so sick and tired of it, that abortion of an all-star weekend. Do you believe, as much as you coach girls and high school basketball and watch boys and college basketball, which I literally think blows the NBA out of the water with the bands, the cheerleaders, the fans, the student bodies, the intensity of it, the NCAAs, the conference tournaments, they're better than anything, the NBA's regular season. It stomps it. But I'm actually here to say that I enjoy watching high school basketball better than watching an NBA game anymore myself. Like, I literally enjoy going to high school girls and boys basketball games way better than watching an NBA game. In fact, I will go to a high school game well before I will sit down and watch an NBA game anymore. They're so boring. I agree with Draymond Green. They're so boring. The NBA playoffs are all that matter. The regular season's a nightmare.
It is a nightmare, and they've tried everything, including a in-season tournament, to try and get us to watch. And the fact of the matter is, it's not a good product right now, Ferrall. I think the NBA has become way too reliant on the three-point line. I don't see the toughness. I don't see the defense. I don't see the diving on the ball on the floor for loose balls. I don't see the extra effort defensively. It's tough to watch, and the ratings are reflecting of it. And the All-Star Weekend was just a microcosm of what's going on in the NBA. Listen, college basketball is more exciting than the NBA. High school basketball, if it's good, is more exciting than the NBA. Women's college basketball is more exciting sometimes than the NBA, and so is the WNBA. The NBA's got an image problem. It's got a style of play problem, and they need to get this right because we have a situation where guys like LeBron and Steph and KD, these guys are retiring in the next couple of years. We need players that are going to pass the torch, but we also need players that are going to be on the floor and not get injured so damn much.
So honestly, at the high school level, and I know people would think that I'm absurd to say this, but I'm not wrong. I mean, look at the kids you're coaching. You have some of the greatest D1 talent that's in high school that's going D1. Every kid you coach goes D1. And every game that they play in, they put on a show. I have seen better AAU and high school basketball on the girls' side and boys than I have watching the NBA. Do you agree with all these kids that you coach that it's more exciting being around that game than it is? Like, I heard today Carver High tried to tell me that they're trading John Moran. I almost had a stroke. At his age, with his talent, like, he's not Luka, where they were scared he was going to be fat and out of shape the rest of his career and not matter. He's one of the best players in the world, whether he cries or not. John Moran is too talented, too young. When he dunked in Wemby's face, I was like, that's all I need to see. I'm not trading that kid. And high school basketball is better.
Well, you know what? It's more about what's on the front of the chest than the last name on the back. And I think what we're getting at, folks, is the NBA is different than when we were kids. Like I look now. I'm in my office. Over here I have a picture of Magic Johnson with the Lakers and Jordan with the Bulls in the '91 finals guarding each other. On the other side, I got Iceman George Gervin. I got a poster of him right over here over my shoulder. When you put on the NBA, you knew Iceman was in San Antonio. You knew Magic was in LA. You knew Ewing was in New York. You know Olajuwon was in Houston. Robinson was in obviously in San Antonio. So I got to see guys through the totality of the career. Guys are switching teams like people switch underwear. And the problem is when guys aren't happy with what's going on, they get up and they leave. I don't want to be here. I want to go here. I want to go play with this thing.
Whiners.
Can you imagine back in the day, in the 80s, when Jordan was getting these, kicked by the bad boys? You imagine Jordan saying, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go play for Detroit. I can't beat them. Look what Kevin Durant did. Can you imagine that back then? That's why we loved it back then. And maybe this is me being an old man at 48, sitting on my soapbox. But folks, guess what? I'm on air. You're not. I don't care. This is the way we love basketball, and we need to get back to that some way. And it starts with the players and Adam Silver holding these guys accountable.
You're not tripping. Like we said on this show earlier this week that if they put $5 million on the table, the All-Star game would matter. If they put a couple mil on the table, the dunk contest would have every guy in the league lined up begging to be in it. If they're going to have a one-on-one at a mill, you know who's going to win that. Kyrie Irving, no one can guard him. I said on the air the other day that Allen Iverson would be the most unstoppable force in a one-on-one game in the history of the league. Jordan couldn't guard him. Kobe couldn't guard him. Nobody could guard him.
But that's the thing that people need to realize when they start and they look at the NBA, right? A guy like Allen Iverson. I mean, let's go back back in the day. Like, could you imagine one of my favorite players, one of your favorite players, Bernard King? Could you imagine Bernard King in this NBA? Can you imagine what BK30 would be doing on a night in and night out basis?
42 a night.
Could you imagine Jordan without hand checks and defensive 3 seconds? I mean, could you imagine the things that some of these guys would do? And listen, and people are like, oh, well, Jordan wasn't a shooter. The game was different. You think Mike couldn't make jump shots from 3 if he knew that it was worth that as much as it was? I mean, people need to stop with this new school, old school. These old school guys could play, and a lot of them could easily adapt. I mean, you look at a guy like Ewing with the Knicks. Could you imagine what he would do to some of these other guys?
What he would do to Cat Towns.
Oh, and I love Cat. And could you imagine Joel Embiid trying to be all fake with injury? Pat Ewing had 248,000 knee surgeries, and that guy he broke his wrist, and he tried to shoot foul shots.
They couldn't have stopped Moses Malone.
Oh. Hey, listen, nothing's better than the Moses Malone. Folks, if you don't know what the Moses Malone is, that's get the ball, shoot a layup, miss on purpose, get the rebound, put it back. 2 points to the rebound, known as the Moses Malone.
So, real quick, in the West, with all the Wild Wild West, how good it is, with the Thunder, with the Rockets, with the Grizzlies, with the Nuggets, with that 4 that they got on the Nuggets with a ring in their bag already, they're still dangerous. And the Lakers with Luka, how crazy is it going to be?
It's going to be crazy in the West, and it's going to be all about matchups. So you mentioned all these teams, and the one team you didn't mention is Houston. And
I did mention Houston.
Okay, but they're young, they're well coached, they defend, and this kid, amen.
He's got God on his side.
Amen. Now that Amen Thompson's playing, watch out. Rockets are going to be dangerous, but it all depends on the matchups.
Do you think they'll get KD in the offseason?
You know what the crazy thing is, Ferrall? I don't want him going there. I want to see this team, this young team with Green and Şengün and Van Vliet and Brooks and Jabari Smith and Thompson and Whitmore.
Fair enough. But the Thunder added Frankenstein and Caruso. So I think that Durant would go, 25 a night without even dripping sweat. And I think it would be awesome. We'll get your college picks for tonight coming back on a double shot.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. the New York team has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
You want me to solve all this tush-push and fourth down malarkey that goes on with the officials? Here's a crazy idea. Get rid of the worst rule in the NFL, and that is forward progress. How about this? Where I knock your ass in the ground is where the ball goes, period. Let's end this whole conversation. Like, if I drop you back 4 yards, then you lost 4 yards. If we get rid of forward progress, this tush-push and everything else is taken care of. Where I put your tail on the ground is where the ball goes, end of conversation. It's the dumbest rule and the most arbitrary rule. The only thing that is a worse call in the NFL than forward progress is the punt that goes out of bounds when you watch the official walk down the sideline having absolutely no clue where that ball crossed over. All I can think of is that Price is Right game go do-de-do-de-do, do-de-do-de-do, as he's walking down the sideline, arbitrarily trying to figure out where the ball crossed over because he's got no clue.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Coach, I looked at the top 25 today with Carver High, and I said that I thought every team in that 25 right now, even though I don't really care about the AP top 25, we do it every week like it's habitual, but I looked at that list, and every team, to me, was going to the NCAA tournament on that 25. They're all solid teams, and the Johnnies have moved up to like 10. They're tough as hell. What do you think of the best teams in the land? And they're all going to be seeded. And St. John's getting a high seed. Look at all these teams, Coach. You can look at that right here. There's not one team on that list that isn't going to the tournament.
No, there's not. And the crazy thing is, Ferrall, you could say if any of them get hot, they can go on and run to the Final Four. Now, obviously, Auburn's 92-85 win on the road in a 1-2 matchup versus Alabama was something. Obviously, Janai Broome kind of getting himself back into the race for being National Player of the Year, Cooper Flag. But all of these teams, Florida's been a great story. Duke is what, for a team that's young, they can defend. I mean, really defend. And their best defender happened to be Cooper Flag. I'm a big believer in Houston. I know Emmanuel Sharp's been coming back, working his way back from ankle injury. But that Udon kid that they got from Oklahoma, it's been a huge difference. Tennessee, can Rick Barnes get over the hump? TJ Osherberger, their team is healthy. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But St. John's, folks, I keep going back to this. Look what Patino does in year 2. And look what he's doing right now. And you want to talk about great clips. There's a clip online that shows for Patino after a game ripping his kids. I'm like, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, I saw that.
I've seen the light. And that team with R.J. Lewis, with Kadari Richmond as the Swiss Army knife, Wilcher getting better, Ejiofor down low. The only problem, and you talked about this during the break, with teams going to big gyms, St. John struggles shooting in big arenas because Carnegie Arena is so small. That's something they have to fix, is their perimeter shooting. But they can absolutely make a run with their defense.
So, obviously, Rutgers isn't going to the tournament. My question is, after Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper went there and everyone thought they were going to be this great team and they were awful, is Pikiell getting fired?
You know, it's funny. I talked to one of my best friends who's a huge Rutgers alum and goes to all their games, and he made a good point. Listen, it's not about Bailey and Harper. It's the fact that Pikiell did not surround those two with enough talent. They do have a pretty good recruiting class coming in next year. I think Pikiell has done well at Rutgers. I think this is the first time he had major players. They'll be better. The problem with Steve Pikiell, it's never been his defense. It's been his offense. Maybe he needs to look to getting an experience, almost like folks almost have this in college, offensive coordinator, someone that could dial up the plays and kind of help Pikiell on the offensive side of the floor.
So, big games tonight that they can't afford to lose. Like Xavier at home at the Cintas, can't afford to lose. Villanova, a huge game tonight. In Hartford, can't afford to lose. Butler, a big game tonight, like I said, with Xavier, can't afford to lose. Because they're already on the outside looking in, right?
Yeah, I mean, those are a lot of big games. That kind of gets me to some of my plays, and we'll start off with Xavier, minus 7.5 versus Butler. I saw Xavier in the first half, the last game they played versus Villanova last week, and it looks really good. Man, that guy looks damn cute in that picture. Who was that guy?
I like that purple tie. You look really good right there.
Shout out to my guy George Cross for the Armani tie. But minus 7.5 for Xavier. Next, we talk about teams that needed. Nova went, they get a huge win versus St. John's, and then the bed versus Providence. Now they got to go play Hurley, who just lost at Seton Hall. Right, Mafia? They lost in the Hall, baby. Hall's back in town.
What a game.
What a game. I'm going to take Villanova plus the 8.5. Buy low spot. Folks, is there a team that no one talks about at all? Like Kansas? And they're a dog? Like, I know it's BYU. I know Provo's tough.
I don't think they're that good, Kansas.
They have the pedigree. I have a feeling it starts now, plus 2.5.
I've never seen them in North Carolina look more average to me in 15 years.
Well, there's only one difference. Kansas is going to the tournament. Carolina not sniffing the tournament. I mean, Carolina's got to think about what they want to do with Hubert Davis moving forward.
Kansas, I agree, but Kansas is beatable.
Yeah, they're absolutely beatable. And that's the amazing thing. This team, I think, was number 1 in the country. When you look at Hunter Dickinson, Abrams, you look at Mayo, the transfer, AJ Storr from Wisconsin, Harris. This team should be better. And I'm banking that they start to turn it around. Couple more. Michigan State minus 3.5 versus Wisconsin. Versus Purdue. Big game here. I do like Sparty at home.
Me too.
It's getting to that time. It's Izzo time. This is when he turns it on a little bit. And lastly, Iowa State team total over 80.5. They're healthy. They can score. You think about Iowa State and think defense. I'm going with them with offense over 80.5 points tonight.
Yeah, and Colorado's been ass. So, and the games at the Hilton, I think they're in trouble. You saw the Badgers win at Mackey. Very impressive. I love their guard play. He's changed so much. I think coaching this team, they used to be, move it around, defense, get a good look, take a good shot. Now they're shooting more threes. They're driving to the 10 more. They're attacking more. They're more offensive, certainly more threes. You never saw that from the Badgers. I think they're a dangerous team that's going to be about a 4 seed in the tournament.
Yeah, they kind of changed their way a little bit. They got away from what they call that blocker mover offense. They're a little bit more offensively gifted. I do like them tonight. Illinois up and down, fighting with injuries. They don't play particularly well outside of Champaign. Go ahead and take later points with Wisconsin tonight.
So they're going to wait for Woody to leave, but do you think they should go after, we were talking today on the show, after Tony Bennett, can they bring him out of retirement? Because in Charlottesville, they didn't give him the money to spend on NIL, and the transfers and everything else drove him nuts. Indiana's got deep pockets. Will he come out of retirement to coach Indiana? I never thought Stevens would.
Well, maybe he would, but I keep saying it. If I'm Indiana, I'm calling Pitino. Because if he gets the Bagley, he got the vitamin water money, he can win. And he will turn around that fan base, and that's a legend that can make people think that they can win
Rick
that
needs to stay at St. John's and call it a day. He's done a great job at St. John's. Coach, awesome. Love you, bro.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
You want me to solve all this tush-push and fourth down malarkey that goes on with the officials? Here's a crazy idea. Get rid of the worst rule in the NFL, and that is forward progress. How about this? Where I knock your ass in the ground is where the ball goes, period. Let's end this whole conversation. Like, if I drop you back 4 yards, then you lost 4 yards. If we get rid of forward progress, this tush-push and everything else is taken care of. Where I put your tail on the ground is where the ball goes, end of conversation. It's the dumbest rule and the most arbitrary rule. The only thing that is a worse call in the NFL than forward progress is the punt that goes out of bounds when you watch the official walk down the sideline having absolutely no clue where that ball crossed over. All I can think of is that Price is Right game go do-de-do-de-do, do-de-do-de-do, as he's walking down the sideline, arbitrarily trying to figure out where the ball crossed over because he's got no clue.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
I've been on a tear lately, Carver High, with the leftovers. I went to that fantastic Italian joint Saturday night. Sunday night, I had the leftovers. It was just spectacular, even on the second day. I mean, and on the third day, he rose again from the dead. I mean, it's all happening with leftovers.
Certainly is. The Bengals have a very busy off-season coming up. They have to find a way to give new deals to Jamar Chase, Trey Hendrickson, and T. Higgins. God bless and good luck, Scotty, getting new deals for all three players, especially when the owner is, let's just call him, cheap. Let's see how that goes for the Bengals there. But Joey Silk ain't going to be happy with that.
Higgins is the odd man out. They're going to tag him and not pay him, and they're going to pay Chase, and they have to pay Hendrickson. That's just all there is to it.
Yes. Andy Dalton re-signs in Carolina. 2-year deal, of course, to be Bryce Young's backup. They've developed a good relationship the last 2 years, and Carolina wants to see that through with the Red Rocket.
Well, he can play. He's not, look, he can, something happens to the kid. The guy can play. He's not the worst backup in the NFL. I can tell you that much. There's a lot of hacks in the NFL backing up starters, and I put him at, top 5 backups. I mean, he can play.
The Bills are one of the teams that has reached out to Cleveland about Myles Garrett. Now they need to become the only team that gets him. That's the next step. You've reached out. Now get him. That's what has to happen next.
And they finally have a pass rush.
Yes. Trevor Lawrence heard those rumors about Pittsburgh calling and looking for him. He said, quote, "I'm not going to Pittsburgh." I don't think that was anything bad towards Pittsburgh.
You actually don't want him.
Said,
no fans want him there. He sucks.
He's not going. We said yesterday Eli wants to buy a piece of the Giants. Well, Floyd Mayweather
Christ.
wants
what
to buy
be
a piece of
What
the
could be
Giants.
worse than that guy? He owns 10 strip clubs. That'll go over well with the owners.
Yeah, the Maras and the Tishes will love that. Major NFL broadcasting shakeup could happen by the end of the decade. Netflix wants to try to get one of the Sunday afternoon packages from Fox or CBS. Again, I guess money...
They're already carrying games.
Money talks now, so anything is possible. The trial in the assault lawsuit against Jerry Jones gets delayed from March 3rd to August 11th. He's accused of kissing a woman on the mouth and forcibly grabbing her at a September 2018 Cowboys home game. We'll have to wait till August for that.
What could be worse than being kissed on the mouth by Jerry Jones? Honestly.
Former NFL offensive lineman Richie Incognito. You remember the bullying scandal against Jonathan Martin about 12 years ago? It's back in the limelight because Martin recently said in an interview that he didn't think he was ever bullied by Incognito.
And then Incognito said, your mother did it and ruined my career.
So that he would still get paid. Incognito said he wanted to quit. The mother came up with the story so that the Dolphins still had to pay Martin all the money that they were going to owe him. So interesting situation.
She's
there.
The devil.
We talked about the TGL at the start of the show. There is another match tonight. Tiger is out there for Jupiter. They are facing the New York Golf Club, which is Matt Fitzpatrick, Ricky Fowler, and Cameron Forever Young. I'm taking Tiger tonight.
Root for the New York Golf Club.
No, Steve Cohen owns them. I'm not rooting for them. For the first time in 8 years, Jon Rahm has dropped out of the top 50 in the world. That's because they don't count live tournaments. That's the only reason why. Jon Rahm has finished in the top 10 of every live tournament that he has ever played in. But they don't care about such things. Misha Tate announces a UFC return. Yana Santos in May will be the fight.
Jeez, I'm surprised it's not this Saturday. Don't they have a pay-per-view this Saturday, every Saturday?
Yes. Gambling addiction has soared since sports betting was legalized
23%.
in most of the United States. 23%. Unbelievable. And I know these are the ones you usually do, but I always have to do it when it's Conor. Conor McGregor appeals the assault verdict in Ireland. More court battles for Conor McGregor.
I love it. Ferrall finished Florida State corner. Charles Lester arrested on a Dewey in Florida. Ravens offensive lineman Ben Cleveland arrested Dewey. Last week he blew a .178. Strong effort there. LA football clubs, Olivier Giroud's home burglarized. $500,000 in jewelry hawked from the house. It's happening to everybody these days. Wade Boggs, your boy that eats chicken, ringing the bell after beating prostate cancer. And a New Jersey elementary teacher sexually assaulted and had a child with a 13-year-old former student who was living with her. Oh, Jesus. GTD is next with the Kevin Walsh. Get my app, search Ferrall. It's badass. We'll see you tomorrow at 3. A coast to coast.
Drumbeat grows louder and louder every week to the point now that they're making overt references to it on the broadcast.
So there's plenty of other guys that have to get faster. Tom definitely is more deliberate in his conversations, always has been since he's been on tour. I just think about Joe Scover and when those two started working together, how their conversations always seem to just keep on going and going.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
At some point, these 80s are to learn, we don't need to hire ex-NBA guys. I need guys with college experience who's gone out and recruited, who know how to develop talent. NBA guys with no college experience don't work in college basketball. I understand they run NBA-style offenses, but it doesn't mean they can run college programs.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams, who's got the best goaltending? Over, you're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
20-34. They are 14 games below 500. Any given night, you have no idea who is going to play for Philadelphia. Embiid has missed so many more games than he has actually played this year.
I will not bet on the Ravens to win the Super Bowl. I will not bet on the Ravens to win the Super Bowl. I will not bet on the Ravens because for the last 4 years now, I do it every year, and I want to hit myself in the head with a bat.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.